this afternoon. I'm Annie Douglas, your Chief Mom Ambassador here at Moms Meet, and I'm really excited that you could join us today for our webinar. It's my pleasure to introduce you to our presenter for today, Missy Kampling from Organic Valley, who is joining us from California. And at the end of the presentation, we'll have some time for Q&A, so feel free to submit your questions in the chat window, and we'll try to get to as many of your questions as we can. With that said, Missy, please take it away.
Great, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for having me today. I'm so excited to have the chance to present to you about this product that's really kind of near and dear to my heart. Because I don't know about you guys and gals, but I'm a huge fan of cheese, and I consume a lot of it in my household. So just to kind of give you a little bit of context before we jump right in, this past spring, Organic Valley, which is a farmer-owned co-op, we have about 1,600 farmers nationwide who farm organically, and we do anything from eggs, milk, cheese, butter, those kinds of items. We had a lot of consumers come to us recently in the last few years and say to us how much they loved our products, but they really wished that they had an alternative to the processed American cheese slice that you can find in the stores today. Everyone kind of recognizes that product as, you know, the floppy, pliable cheese that's mild and meltable, and is something that their kids really like. Because as we all know, kids can sometimes be really picky. So it's really important to have a great tasting cheese that kids approve of. So we knew that going into this project, we wanted to kind of see what was going on out there in the marketplace. What were other brands selling, and how much of this American single slice were they selling? And in 2010 alone, there were over 300 million pounds of individually wrapped American cheese sold in the U.S. So that's a lot of cheese that we're talking about. And it kind of prefaces it to being the #1 cheese item that's sold in the U.S. today. So above cheddar, above Swiss, above any other cheese in the U.S., American cheese alone is the #1 selling item. And it's a staple in a lot of households. So how that kind of relates to us is that on average, the average American usually consumes about 13 pounds of American cheese per year. That's a lot. We're talking about snacking on cheese, whether it's you make a lunch with a sandwich that has a cheese slice on it, or you're grilling hamburgers, or you're eating out at restaurants and consuming products that have American cheese on it. So that's quite a bit of cheese. And all the cheese that is out there today that is considered American cheese is processed cheese food. And I believe the next slide will kind of explain to us what that exactly means, because it's kind of confusing. And what it is that the USDA and the FDA clearly define what American cheese is. They have kind of 3 categorizations. The first one is pasteurized processed cheese, which is kind of more minimally processed. It's still heated up and everything, but it isn't, it's cooked just to a certain temperature. And then we have the pasteurized processed cheese food, which has even less cheese in it and is more processed than the term before. And then lastly, we have the pasteurized processed cheese product, which has the least amount of cheese. So as you kind of go down this list, one of the questions that I get often is, well, if only the product has half cheese in it, what's the other half? And that's a really great question. So what I want to do now is show you exactly kind of how American cheese is made to kind of explain what that 50% of non-cheese is. So what manufacturers mainly do is that they start out with real cheese, 100% real cheese. They sometimes take cheddar, sometimes they take Swiss, Monterey Jack, more of a mild cheese to start with. And they have these huge blocks that are 40-pound blocks of cheese. and they put that cheese into a shredder. And as you can see here on the right-hand side, the top photo, that's where the cheese is being shredded into kind of smaller pieces. After it's shredded up, it's put in what's called a vat. And a vat is essentially this kind of, it's a big mixing bowl that has steam running through the outside of it. And the steam eventually heats up whatever's inside and melts it down. So here you can see where the number 2 is in this picture. The cheese is being melted down as steam is being put in it. At this point, the cheese, when it melts, it kind of gets kind of crumbly. I don't know if that has ever happened to you in the kitchen, but it certainly has happened to me sometimes when I'm making mac and cheese from scratch, where the cheese gets kind of crumbly and it's not fully smooth. And so what the manufacturers do is they add what's called an emulsifying salt. And most manufacturers use what's called a sodium citrate emulsifier. And essentially, they're putting in this salt to melt down the cheese even more. So the way that I like to explain it is that if it snows where you live and you went outside and you notice that there's 3 feet of snow on your driveway, what's the first thing you do? Well, you go out and you put rock salt on your driveway. You come back 5 minutes later and voila, the snow is melted in the water. That's essentially what these emulsifying salts are doing to the cheese. So these manufacturers will put the salt in, and it'll take a little while, and they'll keep mixing and mixing until what they have is called a slurry mix. And the slurry mix at this point is when they start adding in additional ingredients. And the number 1 ingredient they add is oil, hydrogenated oils, as well as they'll add back some calcium. They might add some non-fat dry milk powder, and essentially just kind of making the product consume of less and less cheese as it goes along in the process. And they keep doing this, heating this product up. It takes about an hour or so to do this entire process until it becomes a smooth, elastic-like product, which then can be put into slices, blocks. It can be put into those kind of Cheese Whiz cans. And it's kind of this odd product, right? So when I had mentioned that there were all these consumers coming to us saying that they wanted kind of an alternative to that process, what the moms and dads were saying is that they wanted a process that was not processed. Like, they wanted cheese that was just 100% real cheese, and they didn't have to question what was in it. And so at Organic Valley, we try to make a simple, pure product that can be easily used in households today. And what we do is just 3 steps. We make the cheese, we slice it, and then we package it. And that's it. So there's no kind of heating up of the product. There's no oils added to it. There's no calcium or non-fat dry milk powder added back. It's just cheese. Some people ask me, you know, what kind of cheese is it? And the best way to describe it is that it's kind of a mild, meltable cheese that's somewhere in between a cheddar and a Colby. And what we did before we launched the product was we did some household taste tests with kids. And we wanted to make sure that kids really liked this product. And ours actually came back, 2 kids preferred our product over our competition 2-to-1, which was really exciting for us to get that validation that both parents and kids enjoyed having this product in their home and they liked the taste. The other thing that I want to say is that we're not just taking existing cheese that we have today and slicing it up. This is a brand new cheese for us. This is something that we currently don't have in our line today, and so we're really excited to be able to offer it. And as with all Organic Valley products, we never, ever, ever, ever use any antibiotics, synthetic hormones, toxic pesticides, or GMOs. Our farmers, who are really great people, and I'm so honored to be able to work for them, work really hard every day to take care of their animals and make sure they have the highest quality so that when you guys pick up the product on the shelf, you can trust the farmer and know that they're doing a great job. We've done a lot of testing of our milk these last few months, which is really exciting for us because there's no one else out there in the marketplace doing this today. But what we're trying to test for is that we're trying to create a correlation between when cows eat pasture or when they're out on pasture. That's not only good for the cow, but it's also good for us. And so we've done a lot of testing recently to show that our milk, which is pasture-raised milk, our cows are on pasture year-round as weather can permit. And what we do is we test for naturally occurring omega-3s and fatty acids, which are really great items to help prevent cancer and really just promote overall a healthy diet. We've also learned that eating dairy from pastured cows really increases the amount of calcium that you can get in your diet and is really an excellent source. It's also a good source of protein. And our American cheese in particular actually has half the sodium that you would get from a processed American cheese. Because as I said during a few slides ago when you were seeing the images, you can see that they were adding in those salts to melt down the cheese. Again, we don't do that, so therefore we're cutting down the amount of sodium in our product. Now, these are just a few fun facts that I like to throw in because I think a lot of people aren't aware of actually how many pounds of milk it takes to make a pound of cheese. And the answer to that is that it takes 10 pounds of milk to make 1 pound of cheese, that's a lot of milk, which is really good because that way we can help support our farmers by putting their milk into other products such as cheese, butter, other things like that. And that for every 8-ounce glasses of organic milk, you get that in the American single slice. Now, that was relatively short, and so I'm looking forward to your questions, and I'm hoping that you guys have lots of them because I'm really eager to answer them. But before we do, I will just mention that you can visit our website at organicdeli.coop to learn more about who's your nearest farmer from you. They've got a really cool Find Your Farmer application. If you're looking to purchase the product, we have a store locator on our website as well on our homepage, and you can enter in your zip code to find a store that carries Organic Deli product. I will also mention that Whole Foods is a really good store to be able to go and buy this product out there now because they are selling it nationally. And if you wanted to learn more about American cheese in general and our products, you can visit our website. We have a tab in our product section that can tell you anything from the calorie count to more information about what American cheese is. So I definitely urge you to go there. And then lastly, we also have a recipe section on our website, and if you do have the time, I highly recommend you check out some of our grilled cheese recipes that we have. One of my favorites personally is our chef at Organic Valley came up with this idea to create grilled cheese and then take cookie cutters on top of the grilled cheese and make little kind of cheese shapes, whether it was like a person or a star or a heart. And so it's a really fun activity to do with your family. And so I hope you enjoy those ideas. So with that being said, I think I'm going to pass it back over to Annie. Is that right?
Yeah, thank you, Missy. That was great. A lot of good information. So we have a lot of wonderful questions coming in from those who are attending the webinar. So we'll just get started. We have one person wondering, where are most of your farms located, and do you allow visits, your trips to your farm?
That's a really good question. So most of our farms are located, we have a heavy concentration in Wisconsin and the Midwest, Iowa, Ohio, but we have farms on the East Coast as well, in New York, Vermont, New Hampshire. Those are all really big areas. We have farmers even in North Carolina. So it's really hard to kind of just pinpoint to say where exactly all of our farmers are, because what's so great about our co-op is that we support small family farms across the entire U.S. Out here in California, which is what I'm kind of an expert in, is we have 59 farms here in California that I'm really proud to be able to help serve. And again, what I really recommend is that you visit our website to find the nearest farmer to you. That's a really great feature. And in regards to tours, it depends on the region. Some regions we're doing more tours than others. It also depends on our farmers. But if you are a part of our Farm Friends newsletter, which if you're not, I highly recommend you join our newsletter, which you can subscribe by visiting our website or our Facebook page, I believe, and signing up for our Farm Friends. And as tours come up, we will de-blast our Farm Friends and let them know of events like that happening, or just other events that are happening in the region.
Great, great, thank you. And we have one question about how long Organic Valley has been in business, I guess, overall, in general.
Yeah. So we've been a farmer-owned co-op since 1988. It started out with 8 farmers in Wisconsin that just kind of had this wacky idea that they wanted to have an alternative to the business models that were out there in the 80s. When the dairy industry was really struggling. And so 8 of our founding farmers started this co-op to sell produce. And, a few years progressed, and we had more and more farmers really looking for that alternative business model, because with conventional dairy comes kind of this unpredictability of what a farmer is going to get in their pay price. 1 week might not be the same as the next week as the next week. And so that's really hard for a lot of dairy farmers farming conventionally to not know what their pay is going to be. So our business model really supports the farmer. It pays the farmer first and foremost, because they need it the most. And our pay price over our other conventional dairies is really steady. I think we're up to like $29 per 100 cwt, which is just jargon for a lot of milk. And we, just have been expanding in these last few years, and more farmers have been turning to our organization saying that they want to be a part of it, because at the end of the day, we definitely are a business, but we're all about the people and the animals first, and we really strive to have those values and qualities above our bottom line profit. So again, I'm super excited to work for someone like this, and I know our farmers really appreciate it when you're at the shelf picking up Organic Valley products.
Great, great. Yeah, that's really good information, good to know. Could you talk a little bit about how Organic Valley cheese might compare to maybe other leading singles products, like maybe Kraft singles? I mean, how does it compare, in your opinion, with when it comes to taste and also just nutritional content?
That is a really good question, because what we saw in that study that I mentioned when we did the household comparison, we did a processed cheese food versus ours, and hands down, kids actually said it tastes like cheese, which seems like a weird comment, but it's so true. It's when I personally taste that processed American single slice against our American cheese, it's a little bit bland. You realize how kind of unflavorful it is. And that was really surprising to me. I think the other thing, too, is the meltability. The meltability against a processed American cheese isn't, you're going to get a lot more of the sticky gooiness from a processed cheese slice if you melt it. But ours actually performs pretty similar to that. It melts really well on burgers or grilled cheese sandwiches. And it even just tastes really good by itself. Our cheese is a little bit more crumbly. It actually looks like real cheese. I will say something that I didn't mention is that our cheese slices are not individually wrapped. That's something that's pretty common when you buy something like a Kraft American Single or a Velveeta slice. The experience of unwrapping the cheese individually is something that's pretty common, and we decided not to do that because we didn't want to waste all that plastic. There's a lot of plastic we're talking about, and we kind of felt the need to go a more sustainable route. And so what you'll notice in the product is that it actually has paper in between it, like little wax papers, just to kind of separate the cheese from another so that the slices don't stick. And what I tend to do with the cheese, because some people are concerned, oh, well, will the cheese dry out? And I actually have a package of the American slices in my fridge right now that's been in there for quite a while, and I just put it in a Tupperware container just because it's easier to keep fresh and things like that. So I would say those three things, the taste, the overall look and feel of the cheese and the meltability, and the packaging is kind of what separates us from everyone else.
Great, thank you for that explanation. You were just talking about, the product in your refrigerator. We do have a question about how long can the product be in the refrigerator, and since your cheese doesn't have all the additives of normal processed cheese, does that mean there's a shorter refrigerator life?
It definitely has a shorter fridge life than a Kraft American Single, something like that. When you buy just a regular block of cheese that you shred at home or slice at home, it lasts the same amount as that. So we're talking a few weeks in the fridge. Roughly, I would recommend about 90 to 150 days in the fridge is when it usually lasts. And when you put it in that Tupperware container, it lasts even more. I will say that this is a little kind of bit of a sidebar, but a good one because it's a really good tip. And that if you do purchase cheese and it starts to get a little mold on it, it's okay. All you have to do is just, you can either throw the package away, or what most people do, most cheese aficionados, is that they just cut the mold off because the cheese is still good. What tends to happen is that we kind of associate mold on cheese. That's a bad thing. But in most cases, cheese is actually made from live bacteria and mold, which are a good thing for our gut and our digestive system. So it's just a good tip to think of for any cheese, whether it's sliced or blocked or anything like that.
Great. That's a really good tip. Thank you.
Yeah.
We have a few moms wondering if you have any other kinds of cheese singles products available, or do you have any plans of coming out with anything else?
Ooh, we definitely have some ideas in the works for next year, late next year. One of the toughest things about creating a product is that it takes a long time to do and a lot of effort and energy on a lot of hardworking people's parts. For this product, it took us almost a year and a half to launch, and that's because we wanted to make sure it was absolutely perfect for our fans and our consumers. I will say we do have other kids-friendly products. If you're interested in learning more about that, I suggest you check out our Stringles. I think it's Stringles. It's our name for our string cheese. There's just little single-serve packs that you can get at the grocery store that are really great, that are on the go, cheese-wise. And then milk-wise, we also do serve little single-serve milks in regular vanilla, strawberry, and chocolate milk that can usually be found at your store or local Whole Foods. So as you can see, we have some products that we're thinking of, but we definitely have a good line of kid-friendly cheeses and milks as well.
Great, great. And do you have any lactose-free cheese products?
We don't have any lactose-free cheese products. We only sell lactose-free milk. But, you know, that's something definitely on our to-do list here in the next few years. And I know that there's a lot of people asking questions about that. But I definitely recommend you talk to your doctor. They can help out and recommend any cheese products that can suit your lifestyle.
And this is a question about another product that someone was wondering if you guys have, organic buttermilk. This person said that she loves all your products and she buys it, you know, any chance she gets, you know, she can get it, but she was wondering about buttermilk.
As far as where she can find it, or just in general?
Or if you sell, yeah, if you do sell it, or if you have it.
We do have it. Oh yes. You know, one thing that I find is that a lot of stores, there might be some stores that carry our organic buttermilk and some stores that don't. And the best thing to do, since we do carry the product, and if you wonder where it's available, I would either A, ask your grocery or dairy manager at your local grocery store. You know, oftentimes they are more than happy to bring in the item if you just ask for it, which is really simple. Or if that's not the case, then you can always call our hotline, which is listed on this slide here that's up on the screen. And one of our representatives can help you try to find the nearest product that you're looking for to you.
Great, great. Yeah, we had a lot of questions actually. People wondering where they can find the product. Do you have any of your products sold in maybe like the bulk retailers, or are there any plans to do so?
You know, that's a really good question. So we do some business with bulk retailers. I'm assuming like you're referring to things like Costco,
right,
like wholesale. Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
right.
eBay, yeah, Amazon, things like that. We do some business with those customers. Not necessarily this American cheese product, but other organic deli products we definitely do. If you were to shop somewhere like a Costco, we definitely sell bulk milk there. We do bulk half and half and whipping cream. And other retailers such as Amazon or of that nature, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, we do sell more shelf-stable items, such as our single-serve milks that I was describing a few minutes ago. You can buy those online. You can also buy online our non-fat dried milk powder. And another good tip, you guys are reminding me of some really good tips, is that if you ever wanted to buy butter in bulk, you can always freeze our butter, which is a really good thing to realize, because the freezing process really helps preserve the flavor and you won't get the freezer bite or anything like that. So I would either check those avenues that I recommended, or yeah.
Great, great. And could you talk a little bit about, you know, the cows, the grass-fed cows that you're using? Could you kind of confirm, you know, that the milk in the product, you know, is organic and hormone-free? Could you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, yes. So kind of, okay, so I just wanted to rephrase the question. So kind of confirm that our product is 100% organic, hormone-free, things like that?
Right, right.
Yeah, that's a really good question that we get a lot. And what we do at Organic Valley is we always test our milk before it comes into any plant, which is an important thing to do when you're marketing organic products, because you want the consumer to make sure in the end process it's 100% organic and 100% made without any hormones or GMOs or things like that. So we always test our milk at the plants, and we also do a series of testing afterwards to make sure that you know, nothing went wrong within the manufacturing process. That is a really good safety measure for us and for protecting our farmers and our brand, and we're really proud to be able to do something like that. I really will say that if you do get a chance to meet our farmer at one of our farmers at an event, on a farm tour, or at a demo in a store, definitely take a few minutes to talk to them, because talking to them really opens up how much they care for what they do. The fact that farming organically and sustainably is who they are, and it's a part of their lifestyle. They're so proud of what they do that it's just so heartwarming to hear and see. But we always pride ourselves on being high quality, and we take being 100% organic very seriously. I would say even more seriously than other brands, because I've worked for a handful of other organic brands, and I'm just amazed every single day at the level of standards that we set ourselves, and that we always want to be doing better in the future and always want to be pushing the organic standard to be better. So I kind of hope that makes sense, but what's important is that we're making a sustainable living and a sustainable product that kind of meets and exceeds the government guidelines.
Right, yeah, definitely. And that's so important. And could you maybe talk a little bit about your selection process for your farmers? I mean, do you obviously you must have really strict kind of standards. So can you talk about maybe how you bring on any new farmers, or keep what are your standards?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So we have a group of people out there in the field. They're called our pools coordinators, and these guys are out there constantly living in the different regions in the U.S. and serve as kind of a resource to any and all farmers in their region. They mainly serve a resource to our farmer owners, so our people that are actually shipping milk to us, but they also try to do a lot of outreach to new farmers or farmers that are thinking about going organic, but they don't really know. So what these pools coordinators do is that they host meetings in the region just to get the information out there, because we really try to be as transparent as possible with our farmers and future farmers of our organization, to really kind of show them that going organic is better for all of us together as a collective. And so our farmers will often come to these meetings and help recruit new farmers and really tell their story about why they went organic, why it's important to their family, and why it's important to be a part of a co-op and not necessarily a business that has to meet kind of Wall Street guidelines. So our farmer owners are out there helping these people kind of recruit. And once we have farmers a part of a pool or a group, we often keep our farmers engaged with what's going on in the cooperative. That's what's so unique about our model, is that we're constantly holding meetings, whether it's water quality, whether it's learning more about organic, whether it's even just fun events just to keep kind of a community spirit. We have our farmers, some of our farmers are involved in marketing efforts. Like I personally bring a lot of farmers out to events and invite them to come out and meet you guys, because they want to talk to you, and I know that you probably want to talk to them firsthand. But we also have what's called a board of directors, and that's all made up of just farmers, which is pretty unique. Those farmers are elected by their peers. So out of the entire co-op, everyone gets a chance each year to put in a vote for who runs the co-op, who has some of the decision-making powers, and that way we kind of just keep ourselves checked and balanced, and really keeping our mission alive of being a co-op and putting people first.
Right, right. That's great. And for those who may not know, could you just briefly explain what a co-op is or how it works?
Mm-hmm. A co-op is essentially a group of people that come together, kind of striving for the same mission and goals. It's essentially an alternative business model to say to like a corporation that has kind of a governing, a CEO with all its kind of board of directors. Those people kind of make the decisions for everyone else, and it kind of is a trickle-down effect. For the co-op, which is really they elect their board members, it's usually often run by their own owners. As I said, we're a farmer-owned co-op, so a lot of our farmers are on the board. And it's really just about coming together and realizing there are other alternatives to the corporate business model, first and foremost. So.
Right, right. Okay, great. And could you just talk a little bit about the price of the singles?
The price, that's a good question. So it varies from region to region, but on average, we see that the price is about $5.69 to $5.99 in the grocery store. I definitely encourage you, if that's a struggle, there's definitely times of the year we definitely promote the product. And we also have coupons online that you can get. Again, I think I mentioned a while back that you can join our Farm Friends e-blast. And when you join that e-blast, you also get, I believe, access to some online coupons as well for all of our products, not only just the singles, but everything else.
Great, great. Yeah, thank you. That was actually going to be my next question. Where can our moms find coupons? So that would be great.
Yeah, and we, sometimes we also put them up on the shelf. You can always call our hotline number, and one of our representatives can help you find even more coupons if you're looking for them.
Great, great. All right, well, we have a few more questions, and then we're going to wrap up. We have one mom who's saying that, she's recently kind of, she knows the importance of organic milk, and so she's definitely, made changes in her household. But, as far as cheese, it's kind of, taking her a long time to kind of switch over. I mean, she's asking if you feel like it's equally important to consume organic cheese, or is one better than the other? If you can kind of give you a little bit of advice on that.
Yeah, that is a really good question. I think, we've done a lot of studies in the past, and I think people, a few years ago before I started working on cheese with Organic Valley, I wasn't necessarily a consumer who bought organic cheese. And what really changed my perception personally, and I see this a lot with other men and women in the U.S. today, is that I think at times we kind of forget that products like butter and cheese come from, organic butter and cheese come from organic milk. Now, it seems kind of a silly thing to say because it seems so basic and it should seem, kind of common knowledge, but, sometimes I like to watch Jamie Oliver's Food Revolution, and to see a lot of Americans not understanding where their food comes from or what it comes from is kind of a big deal. And where I'm going with this is that when we make cheese and butter in particular, or even, if you buy ice cream, organic ice cream, what happens is that a lot of that product is made up of a high percentage of fat, but good fat, not necessarily bad fat. They're made of good fats for us, fats that we need in our body to help us get through the entire day. And when a cow is producing milk organically, it's not, it doesn't have any hormones, pesticides, so forth, that transfers from the milk and into the butter and cheese, because the cream holds the most concentration of good fats and essentially is just the most concentrated thing. So I believe that it's really important to kind of go beyond milk, because you're getting even more nutrients from things like organic butter and organic cheese that have calcium, omega-3s, and things like that. Like, it's, as I said before, you saw the slide a few minutes ago that said 10 pounds of milk equals 1 pound of cheese. Just imagine how much milk is going into a pound of cheese, and kind of think for yourself how that kind of translates from a nutritional standpoint.
Right, great. Yeah, thank you for explaining that. We have one person wondering, if you could tell us, how much calcium is in a slice of cheese, of the singles?
How much, I'm sorry, I missed that last part. How much what?
How much calcium?
Ooh, calcium. I don't know that one off the top of my head. I wish I did.
No problem, no problem.
Yeah, but our website, we have a nutritional right there on the page, and I recommend checking that one out.
Great, great. And then for people who are wondering, where they can find the product, the cheese product, or any of your products, is there a place on your website where they can go to?
Yes, we have on the front home page of our website, at the very, very top right-hand side, there is a little bar where you can enter in your zip code. And if you go to that feature, enter in your zip code, it'll pop up all your local stores of where Organic Valley products are sold.
Great, great. Well, thank you so much, Missy. That kind of wraps up our Q&A portion, and that was a wonderful presentation. We learned a lot, and for those who'll be sampling your product, with the group members, I'm sure they'll be able to bring all this information and share it with their group, and we're really looking forward to hearing what they have to say. So it's time to wrap the session up. Missy, do you have any last thoughts that you'd like to share?
No, you guys, you asked a lot of really good questions, and so I'm really pleased about that, and I hope you have a great day.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for attending, and thank you for joining.